Hello, and welcome to the Divorce Dadvocate Divorce Support for Dads, where we help dads create a healthy and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude Sandoval, and I'm your host. Today, we got the topic of the 5 challenges divorced dads must overcome. And if you are in the middle of the process or just post-process, you are probably familiar with several of these. But if you are just contemplating divorce, or even if you are in the middle of a divorce, you may not know all of these. At least for me, a lot of them weren't readily apparent until I got through the process and had the experience of going through this. And as I always say, we don't know what we don't know, because hopefully most of us have not gone through this more than one time, at least if we're paying attention and we're smart and we're doing the work we have to, right? But before we get into any more details, I've got a really exciting announcement, and that is that coming up here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we are going to be creating a community for the Divorced Advocate. I'm just calling it the community, the Divorced Advocate community. And it's going to be a membership area. We're going to be offering an expanded suite of resources for all of you guys. And some of that is the mobile app, as well as over 50 online courses that will be completely free within the membership site. We're going to have some free workshops taught by some divorce experts and other colleagues of mine, some that you've heard on the podcast here before. Also, we're going to have some member-only articles and blog posts, as well as member-only podcasts. So a lot of these podcasts are going to go to the private membership sites, as well as some discussion groups. We're creating an entire social media platform within the website so that we can communicate with each other privately without being on social media. Some other features will be some live group Zoom meetings, and also we'll have some discounted coaching packages, 25% off on one-on-one coaching, divorce coaching packages. So look for that in the next 2 or 3 weeks to come. I'm really, really excited for this. We finally got the mobile app developed. We've got all those awesome online courses. I know that many of you have been taking advantage of those, and now we're just going to take it to the next level. So thanks for all of your support in this. It's only because of all of your listenership, all of your support, that we're able to expand this to the next level and get more support and help out to all of you guys going through divorce. All right, let's talk about the 5 challenges divorced dads must overcome. So the first one is, and if you haven't gone through the system yet, or you're just thinking about this, it's that the system is predisposed against them. And I'm going to give you a recommendation on a really fantastic book. Now, I have not read the entire book. I've read parts of it, and I've actually spoken to the author as well. And that is called The Respondent by Greg Ellis. And it is a really excellent book about his experience through the divorce process with law enforcement, as well as the legal process and family law court. Now, this gentleman is a Hollywood actor who had a experience that was not very positive. And so his whole point is, you can imagine if my experience with it was so incredibly terrible, and I have millions and millions of dollars, that the system is not really structured positively for dads. And so the unfortunate thing is that the prevailing mentality is that dads do not have as much importance in their child's life. Now, the shared parenting movement has gained quite a lot of momentum in recent years, maybe the last 5 years, but the child custody statutes throughout the United States still do a poor job of promoting equal involvement of both parents. There was the early childhood philosophy that the children need to be with the mom, especially in the first 3 years of their life, and they've come to dispel this. And all the research shows and all the studies show that that's not in fact true. That it's equally as important for dads to be involved in those early years as well. And the other thing is there's data from the Pew Research Center that shows that the employment rate of mothers has increased since 1968, almost twofold, from 37% to 65%. And while that's also happening, there's been many dads that have either put their careers on hold or paused their careers or stayed at home with their children while moms advance their career. So there's equal opportunity in careers and career advancement, but there has not been equal opportunity within the court system. And so the problem then is that this creates a double standard, and there's a lot of factors that are working against you. And so what can you do about this? Because what I want to also share is the challenges, but also what you can do and what you can expect to face when you're going through this process. And as far as the system being predisposed against you, the number one thing you can do is get yourself educated as to what's going on and how the system works. So the legal system is incredibly complicated. I contend that it's incredibly complicated by design. It's created by attorneys, adjudicated by attorneys, and so they are the gatekeepers, if you will, to the system. And so if any of you that are listening have represented yourself in court like I have, you know that the system is not user-friendly at all. So get yourself very, very up on what the statutes are. And you can just find what the statutes are. You can look those up in your respective states or in your respective country of where you're at. Find that information, read about it, because even if you do hire an attorney, which I highly, highly recommend, no matter the circumstance, at least for somebody to give you some advice around the system and make sure that you don't miss anything, that knowing what the system is and having some background and understanding and being able to speak intelligently about the system is going to help you tremendously. The other thing I'll say on that is find others and other friends, and that's why we've built the community that we have, and that's also why we are creating the Divorce Advocate membership community also, where guys will be just asking questions of each other, getting on Zoom calls, doing some private discussion, et cetera, and getting to know and understand what that system looks like. And we'll have guys that have gone through the system, guys that are in the system, being able to share some of their stories, their experiences, some of their ideas as well. And the other thing I'll say is get a coach. Get a coach that can help you through this process. Somebody that can help you to not only understand what the system is, but take a look at the big, big picture. Because this system is predisposed against you, there are many different people that are going to tell you many, many different things. So you're going to have the attorney telling you something about the legal system. The attorneys are great at knowing the legal system. They're not great at knowing the full-scale picture of your family and your children and the dynamic with your wife or soon-to-be ex-wife or ex-wife. They don't know all the details of your financial situation. They don't know your history. They don't know everything. Same goes for the financial planner you may be talking with. They may be looking at things in a very narrow scope, which is finances. Same thing with your therapist. If you have a therapist, they will be looking at things from your mental, emotional perspective and giving you advice on that. So you can imagine if you have an attorney telling you one thing, financial planner telling you something else, therapist telling you something else. If you have friends or family that really care about you or are giving you advice and truly are wanting you to have or to be able to make good decisions and better your life, then they're going to be giving you advice as well. So you can imagine all of these narrow perspectives giving you advice. It's really, really hard to make heads or tails of it sometimes, and it can be incredibly overwhelming. So if you can get a coach that kind of knows not only the legal system, knows what mentally and emotionally you are going to be going through, and they know have an idea because they've gone through it, the challenges of the finances, because there are going to be challenges. It's just simple math. You're taking one household, splitting it into two. It's going to be more expensive and going through that, what it is, how it is to deal with co-parenting as well as the kids as a single dad. So there's a lot. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know if you're in the middle of it or you've already gone through it. But if you can get a coach, and that's, again, why we're going to be starting this membership, the Divorce Dad Advocate Community Membership site, because we're going to have coaches that will be involved. We're going to have more coaching sessions. We're going to have group coaching sessions. We're going to have office hours. We're going to have all kinds of resources here for you guys to get plugged into. So that's the first challenge that you need to overcome, and stay strong with this. Get yourself educated and get yourself surrounded with people that can help you out. Number 2, a broken child support system. So since dads are less likely to gain primary custody of their children, they're more likely to be ordered child support. So in theory, the child support would ensure that all the necessary expenses required to raise a child are taken care of, right? So the items, your monthly your payments can be used on should be limited only to those items that contribute directly to your child's upbringing and well-being. In practice, this system is completely flawed. It's archaic, and it has a disproportionate negative impact on low-income fathers as well. And so this is really more of what the system ends up looking like for fathers. They're given a monthly child support order that's based upon their current income, or in some states, and this is absolutely insane, it's imputed, which is a whole nother argument and story. And some of these states, and some of these states need their laws completely overhauled. And some states are working on completely overhauling, and some of them are working on going to the philosophy of the shared parenting and starting from 50-50 and working from there. But it's still, I don't even think that has a majority of the states, at least in the United States yet. So the system is archaic. So what it looks like is a child support order is issued based on your income. However, it does not account for any kind of changes in the income. It does not account for being laid off or temporarily out of work, or changes in the economy, like we've seen over the past 2 years, and the insanity that's gone on, and the recession that we now find ourselves in, and the impact that it has on us in our employment. So what happens is, just because you may become unemployed or underemployed or have some challenges, that child support does not get paused. And in order to do anything about it, you have to file a motion asking to modify that child support. So this requires an attorney. Now, you can do it yourself. Again, usually it requires an attorney. Now, you can do it yourself. This is incredibly challenging. Like I said, the system is not structured to be user-friendly, and it's predisposed, not to be friendly towards dads. So most likely you have to find an attorney. And if you've already lost your job or temporarily out of work or underemployed, then that's a whole nother expense that makes it even more difficult to deal with stuff. So, and then going to court by yourself and showing up pro se and representing yourself is just a nightmare. And take it from me, I've been there. So what happens is a lot of guys ignore stuff. They ignore it. And I highly suggest, and this is going to be my what do you do for this, is don't ignore it. Make sure to do something about it. So if you have a change in circumstance that you think is going to last a little while, do something about it, address it specifically, and don't ignore it, because that child support continues to build. It just does not stop. We don't get these student loan pauses, and we're definitely not going to get a student loan or child support washed away by the federal government via some kind of presidential decree. So that keeps going on, and it keeps going on, and those can start to build up. And what can happen then is you can find yourself in a really bad situation, because you can be put in contempt of court, and then you can literally even be thrown in jail. And even if you're thrown in jail and then now you can't work, those support payments do not go away. They continue to build. and then they continue to accrue interest. And so you can see how this just for lots of guys, it just gets really, really difficult. So make sure, if that's this broken system, make sure that you're paying attention, make sure that you're not burying your head in the sand. If you have a change of circumstance, you absolutely positively do something about it. File the motion to change this. If you can't do it, if you can't find an attorney, even just do it yourself and get in front of a judge, and at least you'll have your ability to say something and have your say to be able to get that, hopefully, some kind of relief and change. But do not ignore it. Number 3, unfair stereotypes. So this kind of dovetails now from the broken child support system. And one of the reasons the system is so harsh on dads is because for years there's been this overemphasis on collecting payments. And that's because of the system prioritizes enforcement over fatherly involvement in children's lives. And so with this mindset around that, dads are not as important in the rearing or the child rearing, then, and I hear guys talk about this all the time, I feel just like I'm a human ATM machine and I'm not really somebody that's important to be involved in my children's lives. And I only get every other weekend and one day during the week. And that's just not enough. And I miss my children. And I never wanted to become a father in order to not see them 75, 80% of the time. And so this just perpetuates this unfair stereotype. And so the system is largely punitive because of this myth of the deadbeat dad. And so this originated in the mid 80s with a CBS report, as far as I understand, a CBS report about a guy that was profiled that said he has 6 children and he's refusing to support them financially. But here's the thing is that's complete BS. It's complete BS because the majority of dads out there who are capable of making child support payments do. And the ones that are incapable are typically having some sort of financial challenge and money challenge. And actually that is even supported by a U.S. General Accounting Office report that says 66% of all child support not paid by fathers is due to the inability to come up with the money. And then a study also published in the Journal of Marriage and Family found that most economically disadvantaged fathers still did what they could to provide non-monetary contributions such as baby products, clothing, and food. So this is a complete BS myth, and the empirical data points to a much different story about dads that are always wanting to be, or dads that want to be involved in their kids' lives. And now that's not to say that there aren't dads that are deadbeat dads, but there's moms that are deadbeat moms too. And I don't know that there's there's more deadbeat dads than there are more deadbeat moms out there. Now, obviously, I deal with a lot of great dads and a lot of conscientious and caring dads, but as far as the data shows, there's no data that actually states that. So, here's the other unfair stereotype that makes me absolutely crazy. And I wrote a blog post article on this, and that's dads are frequently the butt of jokes in marketing campaigns, as well as pop culture tends to treat fathers as bumbling doofuses. So I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a ton of them, but a couple of notable ones is, a couple of notable fathers is Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin, right? We see that all the time. The movie The Incredibles 2 was the one that annoyed the crap out of me, and I wrote the article about the war on our families and how dads are bumbling and how he's bumbling through that whole show all the time when he's trying to raise kids. And so that's a couple examples. And then there's corporations that are focused on just the moms, like Amazon came out with their what was it? Their parent focused program. That's what it was years ago. And they called it Amazon Mom, right? Instead of like Amazon Parent. And then also there was that Old Navy, that Old Navy campaign that came out with a Father's Day t-shirt that read "It's Father's Day," and then it said it's her day. like all kinds of ridiculous crap like this. And so here's the thing, dads, and I want to reiterate this with you. All of the data shows, all of the studies, all of the research shows that the number one indicator of whether or not a child has a healthy adult life, and they use many indicators of what that means across a broad spectrum, not just employment, but mental health, etc., is if the children have a father involved in their lives, father involved in their daily lives. So I want you to know that if you're in a divorce and you're fighting and battling against this mentality, and a lot of women have this mentality, and the courts have this mentality, even the family law attorneys sometimes have this mentality, continue to fight for the time with your children. There's nothing better that you can do than fight for time, spending time with your children. You don't have to settle for just paying child support and not seeing your kiddos. You need to be able to spend the time with them. And there's all this research. There's the research on rough and tumble play and how that socializes kids, as well as structure and creating structure, and the differences in how dad's parent versus mom's parent, and how that can be complementary. But then when there's not, and the father's not involved, how that negatively impacts the children. So the research is there, the study is there. We just don't hear anybody talking about it. They're not pulling it up in family law courts. Attorneys are not using it. They're not making commercials for you, and they're not naming campaigns after you. So it's incumbent upon us to fight for that time. Again, this is why I built this community. This is why I'm creating the membership site with the divorced advocate community, so that we can support people, support each other going through this, because I know that it can be disheartening and challenging and sad as hell when we're not seeing our kids, or if they're being alienated from us, or we don't have the parenting time that we want, or the courts ruled against us. So we're going to be supporting each other is even more than we have just with this podcast. We're going to expand this even more. So continue to fight that good fight and fight these unfair stereotypes, because I know if you're listening to this podcast, you are a good dad and you want to be involved in your children's lives. Okay, rant over. Number 4, it's tougher to find a support group. Okay, so this dovetails again what I just said too. And here's the fallacy, is that it's much easier for dads to recover from a divorce, or men in general from a breakup, and it's actually much harder for men to recover from divorce than women. And one of the primary reasons is that we draw our identity from our families, and providing for our families, and being the men that we want to be, or that we've been called to be. And once that breaks apart, and once that goes away, and I know this was an experience for me, we don't have that identity, it is really incredibly difficult to reassess who we are and what we want and what direction we want to take, and how we want to do that. And that's why in private practice, this is one of the first things I talk about with men, is creating our vision and direction, again, through divorce, to get through that, and then post-divorce, and what we want our life to look like. And so, there's also this stigma around men displaying their emotional vulnerability. And this is a challenge. Brene Brown talks about this in her book, Daring Greatly. And it's not just with other men, it's with women too. And she says the number one, I don't know if she says the number one, but she says one of the greatest challenges for men to display their emotional vulnerability is because women don't know what to do with it when they get it. And then that makes us shut down. And so it's a fascinating book. It's another book I'll recommend. It's called Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. And she's just been a phenomenal advocate in vulnerability in general, but vulnerability with men, and particularly for us with our dads, because we need to be able to demonstrate this to our children, particularly our young boys, in order for them to be healthy, have a healthy mental, emotional state. And this is an opportunity for us to do that, going through what is, I'm going to describe here when we talk about the next one, is that this is rated as one of the top 2 most stressful things that we'll ever go through in our life. So if you can demonstrate some emotional vulnerability through this, which I know it's challenging because our emotions are all over the place and we're dealing with all kinds of stuff. And that's why I always recommend getting into therapy. And that's one of the recommendations I say here about finding a support group. It's really tough because we don't want to isolate. Okay. That's our tendency, is to shut down. And if you listen to my podcast with former Mr. Olympia, former Mr. Olympia, Brian Peters, he talks about that and about shutting down and isolating and how that was the worst thing. And so that's just kind of the natural way we want to do that. We want to tough it out. We want to suck it up. Boys don't want to, all that BS. But that is the wrong thing we do. We need to get involved. If you have the means, get into therapy. Even better, get into therapy and coaching. Like I said, if you don't have that, find a church support group. Find at least friends and family. Just be careful. Friends and family have a vested interest oftentimes. So be careful with what advice they're giving you, but at least you might have somebody to talk to. But, and then again, that's why we're going to be creating this membership site. We're going to have way more group meetings. We're going to have a lot more private chat discussion opportunities. We're going to have some experts on that are going to be helping us through and doing some office hours as well to give you guys the support that you need. But do not isolate. Do not do this alone. Find a community. If it's not the divorced advocate community, then find another community. Find somebody and start. You're going to be amazed how many people, once you start talking about this and sharing, are going to go, oh my gosh, yeah, I went through this too, or share a story, or I'm divorced. I know somebody that's divorced. Just be open about it. Get the support that you need. So that's number 4. Number 5, and the last challenge to divorced dads that you're going to need to overcome, and that is health risks. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the fact that divorced dads are up to 10 times more prone to suicide than divorced moms. There's all kinds of other statistics also. Because this is a stressful time. It also increases. So here's some more statistics. It increases the rate of early mortality for men by up to 250%. And other studies have shown that it increased the rates of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, depression, substance abuse, and cancer. So, gentlemen, if you're keeping it inside of you, it's going to eat you alive, and it's going to manifest in something. There's going to be some kinds of symptoms, and all of these things are symptoms of keeping this stuff inside of yourself, self-isolating, and not taking care of yourself. So, we see all the websites out there. Culture has devalued the health of men. It has devalued the health of dads. But we see all of these websites, and there's all kinds of health websites, but they're mostly focused to women, which is okay. That's a good thing because women need it, but we need it too. So make sure don't be reluctant to get help from your doctor. Don't be reluctant to start getting healthy for yourself. I know you might think, oh, that's selfish. I got so many things to take care of and think about and handle now that I'm parenting by myself. But you need to take the time, because it doesn't make you weak for needing to get help or taking the downtime that you need. It doesn't make you lazy. You need to take I talk about it all the time. The 4 pillars: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. You need to carve out that time for all 4 of those things. It's like four legs on a stool. And if one of them's off, everything's off kilter. If 2 of them's off, you're falling over. So you need to make sure to take the time, carve out the time. Again, when I talk in private practice, we work on this. We work on block scheduling, and we work on building up and creating schedules and morning routines and night routines and exercise routines and time to meditate or journal and do all kinds of other stuff. And again, we're going to have some experts who are going to be helping with some free workshops and classes around that in the membership site coming up here in 2 to 3 weeks. So be ready for that. And so you got to make sure to carve out this stuff. You need to make sure to take the time to help yourself, because you cannot help your children if you don't help yourself. It's that oxygen mask analogy that we used. You're going to put the oxygen mask on yourself first if there's an emergency, in order to be able to put the oxygen mask on somebody else, in your children in particular, once you have yours on. So make sure, and that can be starting small. Maybe you're going to just physically start with a 15-minute walk. Maybe mentally, you're going to just schedule some time with a therapist, or you're just going to reach out to a friend. Maybe emotionally, you're going to journal for 5 minutes, or maybe just do a meditation for 5 minutes. Maybe spiritually, you're going to do some prayer or go for a hike in nature, whatever you find that cultivates your spiritual life. It can be as simple as starting with 5 minutes on each one of those. That's 20 minutes a day. I know that you can do it because I know we scroll and screw around doing something that's BS for 5 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day. So we can definitely stop doing that for 20 minutes and take 5 minutes to do each one of these things. And it's going to go a long way because it'll start to build on itself, and you'll start to build up more and more and more. And again, you are modeling it also for your children an important message, which is you need to take care of yourself. Excuse me. They're going through this challenging time. You want to make sure that they're taking care of themselves. They're getting, you're probably concerned and thinking about your kids getting into therapy, making sure they still have their activities, doing all this stuff. It's no different for you. So they're going to see you. And if you're taking care of yourself, and that's going to help model to them that when there's a stressful, challenging time in life, and they're going to have them too, that they need to make sure to take care of themselves. So those are the 5 challenges and some ideas on how to overcome those challenges that divorced dads are facing. I hope that you found some value in that. Again, also at the website, the divorce quiz is still up. Take a look at that. It's a great tool to help gauge where you're at in your divorce compared to others who have been through it. It takes about 5-10 minutes, and it'll give you some immediate results and the opportunity for us to review that together. At the website at thedivorcedadvocate.com under divorce quiz, or you can go directly at thedivorcequiz.com. And then also keep tuned in, and you can check out on the website the membership site. They've got some details around the different membership tiers. It's not active yet, but I've got it up. So take a look and check that out. And as always, if you found some value in this today, please share it far and wide. Take a moment to just give us a brief comment. That helps so much, especially on these large platforms for other divorced or divorcing dads that are looking for something, looking for some support. Give us a star rating, and also share it on your social media. If you just share this on social media on Facebook with a link to this podcast, it would help so much. Other guys can click. Our membership in the last, our listenership in the last 2 months has doubled, which it's fantastic. It's got to be due. I'm not doing any paid advertising yet. It's got to be due to you guys sharing this stuff. So please continue to share this. You can hashtag the divorced advocate. You can hashtag divorced dads. You can hashtag fatherhood. Those are all hashtags that I use in order to get dads looking for the support that they need through the podcast. So thanks again for listening. Stay strong, and God bless. We'll talk to you next week.